The most dangerous idea in economics isn't greed, it isn't debt, it isn't inflation, it's progress. Because the man who understood capitalism better than anyone, better than Marx, better than Keynes, didn't celebrate it, he diagnosed it. Like a doctor describing a disease that also happens to be the only thing keeping the patient alive. His name was Joseph Schumpeter, and his warning has never been more relevant or more ignored than it is right now. Welcome to the financial system. Control the money, control the history, and remember, simple is never easy. Schumpeter saw something no other economist of his era was willing to admit. The capitalism doesn't survive by staying stable. It survives by destroying itself over and over again and rebuilding from the wreckage. He called this process creative destruction. And if you've ever lost a job to automation, watched a thriving industry vanish overnight, or wondered why the economy grows while your life feels more fragile, you're living inside the machine he described. To understand the idea, you have to understand the man. Joseph Alois Schumpeter was born in 1883 in Trieste, a small town in Moravia, then part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, today the Czech Republic. His father died when he was 4. His mother, ambitious and calculating, remarried a high-ranking military officer and moved the family to Vienna. That move changed everything. Vienna, at the turn of the 20th century, was one of the most intellectually explosive cities on earth, a place where Freud was unlocking the mind, Klimt was redefining art, and the Habsburg Empire was slowly rotting beneath its golden surface. It was a city obsessed with brilliance and decay, and Schumpeter absorbed both. He studied law and economics at the University of Vienna under Eugen von Bombauer, one of the founders of the Austrian School of Economics. But even as a student, Schumpeter stood apart. He wasn't interested in equilibrium, the tidy models that described how markets settle into balance. He was interested in disruption, the forces that shatter balance and create something new from the rubble. While his professors built models of stillness, Schumpeter studied storms. By 1911, at just 28 years old, he published The Theory of Economic Development, a book that quietly rewrote the rules of how capitalism should be understood. The mainstream economics of his day, inherited from Adam Smith and refined by the neoclassicals, treated the economy like a machine, inputs and outputs, supply and demand, prices finding their natural level. It was elegant, it was mathematical, and Schumpeter thought it wrong, was fundamentally wrong, not because the math was bad, but because the story was missing its protagonist, the entrepreneur. For Schumpeter, the entrepreneur wasn't just a businessman chasing profit. The entrepreneur was an agent of chaos, someone who introduces a new product, a new method, a new market, a new source of supply, or a new way of organizing an industry. This person didn't respond to the market. This person broke it, and in breaking it, created the future. Think of the railroad replacing the horse, the automobile replacing the railroad, the airplane replacing the ship, the internet replacing the newspaper, the smartphone replacing everything. Each innovation didn't just add to the economy, destroyed what came before. Entire industries collapsed, entire workforces became obsolete, entire fortunes evaporated, and new ones rose in their place. That is creative destruction, not a gentle evolution, a violent cycle of death and rebirth built into the very DNA of the capitalist system. But here's the part most people miss, and the part Schumpeter himself wrestled with for decades. Creative destruction doesn't ask for your permission. It doesn't care about your mortgage, your pension, your 30 years of experience. It doesn't negotiate. The factory closes. The skill becomes worthless. The town empties out. And the system calls it progress. Schumpeter knew this because he lived it. After the First World War, he was briefly appointed Austria's Minister of Finance in 1919. A thankless post in a broken country. The empire had collapsed. Inflation was accelerating. The economy was in ruins. Schumpeter tried to stabilize the currency and restructure the debt. He lasted 7 months. Politics consumed him. He was removed not because he was wrong, but because the solutions he proposed required sacrifices no politician would accept. Then came an even more personal collapse. In 1924, Schumpeter became president of a small private bank in Vienna, the Biedermann Bank. It went bankrupt. He lost everything. His savings, his reputation, his social standing. The theorist of creative destruction had been destroyed by the very forces he described. He spent years paying off debts. And in the middle of this financial ruin, his young wife died in childbirth, along with the child. Then his mother died weeks later. In a single year, Schumpeter lost his career, his fortune, and his family. The man who understood capitalism's brutality had tasted it firsthand. He rebuilt, slowly, painfully. In 1932, he emigrated to the United States and joined Harvard University, where he would spend the rest of his life teaching and writing. But the world had changed around him. A new star had risen in economics, a man born the same year as Schumpeter, 1883, but whose ideas would dominate the century. John Maynard Keynes. Keynes and Schumpeter are the great intellectual rivals of modern economics, though history has treated them very differently. Keynes told governments what they wanted to hear, that in times of crisis, the state should spend, stimulate, and manage demand. His ideas shaped the New Deal, the post-war boom, and every government bailout since. Keynes became the architect of intervention. Schumpeter told governments what they didn't want to hear, that crises are not bugs in the system, they are the system, that recessions clear the ground for new growth, that propping up failing industries with subsidies and stimulus doesn't save the economy, it delays the destruction that capitalism requires to renew itself. Where Keynes offered comfort, Schumpeter offered a warning, and the world chose comfort. In 1942, Schumpeter published his masterpiece, Capitalism, Socialism, and Democracy. It's the book where creative destruction gets its fullest expression. But it's also the book where Schumpeter delivers his most unsettling prediction, that capitalism would not be destroyed by its enemies, it would be destroyed by its own success. His argument was chilling. As capitalism matures, he wrote, innovation becomes institutionalized. The lone entrepreneur is replaced by the corporate research department. Risk-taking is replaced by bureaucratic planning. The wild, disruptive energy that drives creative destruction gets tamed, domesticated, absorbed into the very institutions it once threatened. And as the system becomes more stable, more predictable, more managed, it loses the vitality that kept it alive. Worse, he argued, capitalism breeds a class of intellectuals who benefit from the wealth the system creates, but who despise the system itself. Writers, academics, journalists, critics, people trained to question, to challenge, to undermine. They erode the cultural legitimacy of capitalism from within, not through revolution, but through slow, persistent delegitimization. Eventually, Schumpeter predicted, democratic societies would vote themselves into socialism, not because socialism works, but because capitalism's own children would dismantle it out of comfort, guilt, and intellectual fashion. Read that prediction again and look at the world around you today. And today, the cycle is accelerating. Artificial intelligence threatens not just manual labor, but white-collar work, lawyers, analysts, writers, programmers. The destruction Schumpeter described once took decades. Now it takes years, sometimes months. And the question he left unanswered is the one we face now. What happens when the cycle of destruction moves faster than the cycle of creation? What happens when the new jobs don't arrive before the old ones vanish? What happens when the human cost of progress becomes not a footnote in an economics textbook, but the defining crisis of an entire generation? Schumpeter died on January 8, 1950, in his sleep at his home in Connecticut. He was 66. On his desk lay an unfinished manuscript. His reputation at the time was modest, overshadowed by Keynes, dismissed by the mainstream, respected but not revered. It took decades for the world to catch up. Today, his ideas don't just explain capitalism, they explain the anxiety at the heart of modern life, the feeling that no matter how hard you work, the ground beneath you can shift without warning. That isn't paranoia, that's the system working exactly as designed. Schumpeter didn't promise that destruction would be fair. He promised that it would be inevitable, and the only protection he offered was
understanding, seeing the machine for what it is, before it runs over you. History doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. And the rhyme of creative destruction is playing louder now than at any point since the Industrial Revolution itself. If this gave you a new perspective, hit subscribe. It's financial system, and history leaves clues. I show you where the money leads.